tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Our guests are actress Nicole Stuart and author June Shelley. Actress Nicole Stuart was born and raised in Las Vegas. You took dancing lessons from the age of 6 years old. Did you want to be a dancer?
At first I did.
Yes?
I did for a while. I really enjoyed dancing. I danced my whole entire childhood. I would say from 6 to about 16. Scholarship, lots of hours. I was very, very dedicated. For me, it was an escape.
Did you have great teachers in Las Vegas?
I had one exceptionally great teacher. Her name was Inez Morning, and she really, really made an impact on my life.
And then you must have had other influences in Las Vegas, too.
I did. I mean, I grew up, my mother was a camera girl at Caesar's Palace.
Oh, so she knew everybody.
So she was, you know, she was all into the scene. And I would go to work with her because she would never hire a babysitter. So I would hang out with her pretty much backstage at Caesar's Palace.
And you must have met a lot of the celebrities who were performing there.
Yes, I did. Pretty much every Vegas performer you can think of.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Were some of them nicer than others?
They were all really nice. I mean, they all looked at this little girl who'd come backstage who was mesmerized by them, and they were all really, really kind from what I can remember.
Then you went to high school.
Yes.
In Las Vegas?
Mm-hmm. Valley High School.
And after high school, off to New York.
Yep. I did not go to Hawaii.
What was in Hawaii?
The senior class trip.
Oh, is that right?
Everyone seems to want to go to Hawaii for their senior present or their senior year, and I moved to New York instead.
Oh, that was great. And you started taking acting lessons, I guess, at Stella Adler?
Yes, I did. The evening conservatory program. So I would work 6 days a week.
Doing what?
Oh my God, I temped several different jobs. That lasted a while. And then I worked for Anne Klein Knitwear. I was a receptionist and a sample model.
But no acting or dancing or anything?
No,
waiting tables?
I had to work every day to pay for all my bills to go to school at night. So that's why I went to the evening conservatory program.
And what about dancing or working out?
I went to a few classes, but it was, you know, there's only a certain amount of hours in a day, and I couldn't do everything. And so to study, this is what I had to do to study, and I sort of let the dancing go to the backside. But I did take a few dance classes in New York.
Were you on stage? Did you get to have any parts when you were in New York?
No, I didn't audition. I just studied, studied.
And then you came back to LA.
Well, I came back to Las Vegas to finish college. And then I went to LA, and then I went back to Las Vegas, and then I auditioned for a show, a Las Vegas show. And then I took that to Houston, Texas.
Oh, but wait a minute. Why did you think going back and finishing college was important? Because here you were in New York, studying, playing the role of, you know, a future actress, working in the day.
Well, my mother told me I should come back and finish college.
Yay,
so
mothers, because we know what's good.
Listened to her, and I said, all right. I often wonder where I would be if I stayed in New York, you know? I really loved New York at the time, and I really didn't want to come back, but I also knew it was so hard financially for me to, you know, pay the rent and work those 6 days a week, and so I said, all right, I'll finish school.
So that scholarship, you had a scholarship somewhere.
I was offered a scholarship to the dance department at UCSB.
But you didn't take it.
I didn't take it. At that point, I decided, I think that was after the show, and then I decided I didn't want a dance degree.
Oh, so
I said, if I'm going to go to school, I want to get a degree in something like law or psychology or communications, which became my major, communications.
Oh, so
and then I wanted to be a newscaster.
You can take my job.
Okay.
What were you doing in Houston? What play was that?
It was a show called Bottoms Up.
Oh, really?
A Vegas review. And I guess it's still in Las Vegas now, and it's called Bottoms Up 2001.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then when you came back to Los Angeles, what was your very first job, acting job?
My very first, oh God, I don't know if I can remember.
Well, what made an impact on you?
There's been so many small, jobs and tidbits here and there.
What was the major one then? Let's talk about that made a turning point in actually knowing that you could have an acting career.
You know what? I'd have to say that what I'm working on now has made such an impact on me.
Which is Toyer.
Which is Toyer.
The stage.
Yeah.
Not film, not TV.
No, I don't. This is the biggest part that I've ever had. And it's a 2-person play, so it's very intense. It's a huge, huge, huge endeavor. It's a huge part. And you know, when I got the script, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Because everything I've ever been paid to do has been very small, you know, as far as character and work.
All the TV things have, because you've been on a lot of TV shows, but they've all been small.
Small, you know, little small parts here and there.
I see.
Not a full hour and 45-minute production with just myself and one other person.
And on stage.
And on stage.
Remembering every line.
Exactly. So there's no escaping any lines or anything at all like that. It's do or die, basically.
Let's talk about Toyer, because it was written by the late Gardner McKay.
Yes.
Who loved to write, who was a fabulous actor, who understood the psychology of people. And writing this 2-person play was something that I think, maybe he was going to be in it himself, I don't know.
He actually did do it. It was I met Gardner the summer before he passed away, and he had told me this was the first piece he had ever written when he first moved to LA.
Is that right?
He was pursuing acting at that point, and he also said it was the first piece he ever written out of anger because he felt like he put himself into a category of unintelligent sort of people, like wannabes, I guess you'd want to say. And he said he did it at the Evergreen Theater with another actress.
Oh, he did? So he did do it?
He did do it.
So
it was only 20 minutes, though, at the time. And she said she didn't want to be in the same room alone with him because it's a very dark, scary, intense piece. In fact, I believe Extremities was based on this play.
Oh, really? So there's a lot of action. There's a lot of psychological drama.
Completely.
And he obviously, from 20 minutes, he added another hour and 20 minutes or 10 minutes to it. And did he tell you why he did it? Or what was in his mind?
He was writing. He's always writing. I know that. He's written several novels. In fact, he wrote Toyer the novel after he wrote the one act.
Oh, I see.
And the novel is amazing. The novel is just
So in
incredible.
preparing for this, what did you do? You read the novel, obviously.
I read the novel several times. I must have read the script over 200 times, over and over. I'm a doctor. I play the part of a psychiatrist. So I did a lot of research with psychiatrists and just did a lot of research.
How did you happen to meet him? Were you in Hawaii at the time, or did you go specifically to meet him?
I went specifically to meet him.
Oh, you did? And he was ready to receive you?
Well, at first he wasn't. He said, I called him because he had written me a letter, and I called him, and he said, you know, I just want to wish you good luck.
Oh, that was great.
And I said, well, you know what? I think I'm going to be in Hawaii. I'd love to meet you.
That was very smart.
And he said, well, give me a call. So I called him when I got there. And he said, you know, I really don't have time to talk to you, but if you just come by and say a quick hello, I'll do that. So I said, all right. So I went to his house. I got a cab to drive me there, and it was quite a ways away. And an hour and a half went by, and I said, should I send my cab away?
Oh, you were just going to pop in and say hello?
I was going to just say hello. So we had a really wonderful time.
Did you know he was sick at the time?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did? Did he
did
show
know.
strains of illness?
Cancer.
So
Yeah.
you could...
I could tell he was, I mean, you could tell he must, I didn't see him when, 30 years ago.
Right.
But I could see he must have been a very good-looking man.
He was very handsome.
And I heard from the director of my play, Deborah Levine, I heard that she said he was a stud. She was like, oh my God, he was so good-looking.
He could walk into a room and you would stop and take notice immediately.
Very tall and
But
broad
that was great.
and sexy.
That you were able to have that last conversation.
It was
and
wonderful.
He enjoyed it. He probably didn't want to commit to you until he met you.
Exactly.
So you won him over, and he probably loved you in your part. Did he make you read or say anything?
No, he didn't. But he didn't want to talk about the Toyer. He said that specifically on the phone, and I said, okay. So, I sat there, and there was some silence, and I said, so, the Toyer. I have to ask you a few questions now that I'm here.
What does it mean?
Oh, the Toyer, the man in the play, he's a manipulator, and he toys with people's minds.
Okay.
So he's called the Toyer.
So did you ask Gardner about that?
I did. But, in the novel, it's very specific, and it goes into much more depth than the play does.
But that probably has to come out by the person who's playing that.
Most definitely. And the other actor, Carmen Mormino, that I'm starring with, is wonderful.
You, this play has played before. It's playing in Hollywood. It could play in London.
I heard it is supposed to be playing in London.
Could be in New York. So I hope you follow this play around with...
I hope I do too.
Be great. And when you're on the road, I know you've gone on the road as a Pilates teacher for other people who are on the road.
Yes, I did. I went on the road specifically with Courtney Love, and I toured with Hull for several weeks.
Do you just do personal training, or do you take a machine with you?
With Courtney, we had a portable machine that I could disassemble and take with me. But a lot of people, I can just do mat stuff or use the gym provided in the hotels.
And then what happens to your career while you're traveling with someone like that?
Well, you know what? It hasn't been a problem yet.
Oh,
so, good. Hopefully I'll have to worry about that one day.
Great.
To juggle the two.
Good.
Until then, I'll enjoy both.
And we'll enjoy seeing you on the stage.
Most definitely.
Thanks, Nicole Stuart. And don't go away. We'll be right back with author June Shelley. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and we're back with author and film and TV executive June Shelley. June was inspired to go into show business at a very, very early age when she would join her father in the projection room of the local cinema. Where was that cinema?
Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. It was the Lowe's Alpine.
It was.
Did you ever see the film Cinema Paradiso?
Yes.
I was just like that little boy watching my father repair the tears in the film and looking at the films through the porthole of the projection booth.
You know, June, I did think about that, and I thought that's probably what you did.
Yeah.
And is that what got you into show business?
No, I was born a ham, but really I sort of grew up in the projection booth, and I watched films from there for many years. I was just fascinated by the actual physical aspect of what a film looked like. And when I was about 12 or 13, my father kicked me out and said, now you can watch the films from the audience.
Were you going to school? You went to school in
Sure.
Brooklyn?
I went to school in Brooklyn, and at a very early age, a gentleman came to my high school one year. I think I was about 16 or 17, and he came to the drama class. And he said, I'm looking for some kids who want to be on the radio in New York. Oh. And I tried out, and I got into that job.
So but you had done something as a child before that?
That was probably the earliest acting that I did other than in school. I think I must have been 16. And
when you really made the
impact. Would take the subway to New York twice a week and be on these radio shows.
Right.
I graduated from high school very early at 17, and I went to summer stock, 2 years in a row, upstate
So you
New
really
York.
did.
I got in very, very early. By the time I was 17 and a half, even before my 18th birthday, I was out on the road doing one-night stands with children's theater. Dick Whittington and his Pussycat.
Oh, I remember Dick Whittington.
Yeah, we played one-night stands all over America. We would play one town. We would drive to the next town. We would play.
How many of you would go?
There was 7 of us.
Oh, so it was a little van.
A little van, a little van, and we did that for 8 months.
Tell me how Hugo Haas came into your life.
Well, the second time I was on the road, this time was equity. So I was getting a little bit more professional. It was the Road Company of Darkness at Noon. Do you remember the actress Kim Hunter?
Yes, of course.
Okay, she played the part on Broadway, and I did it on the road. A lovely part, Luba, Russian girl. And we were in some little town, and we went to see a Hugo Haas film. And there was a big story about him in Life magazine, and they said he was kind of the poor man's Orson Welles. He was Czechoslovakian. He used to write, produce, act, direct, star in his own films. And I was kind of naive in those days. I thought you could write someone a letter. And so I did. I said, "Dear Mr. Haas, my name is June." My name was June Hammerstein at the time. I'm coming to Hollywood when I finish my road tour, and I'd love to meet you, and I'd love to be in your films. Well, obviously he didn't answer. But I did run into him on a bus stop in Hollywood, and I did go up and say, "Do you remember me? I sent you a letter." And he went, yes, I sort of. But shortly after that, I got a little part in an experimental film about a schizophrenic lesbian prostitute. I didn't play that part.
I was going to say, did he let you?
I was about 18. I played the drunk, and I had never had a drink in my life. But they said, "Can you play a drunk?" Sure, I can play a drunk, you know.
At that point, you could do anything.
Well,
You've been on the road.
Yeah, well, you know how it is. When you're young, you think you can do anything.
Right.
And to my great surprise, Hugo Haas saw that film before I did. And he stopped me outside of Googie's one night. That was my hangout, Googie's, on Sunset Boulevard, where the Virgin Records are nowadays. And he said, "I saw you in a film last night. That was good." He said, "I'm going to write a part for you in my next film." Oh, thank you, Mr. Haas.
Those were the days when you would run into people, though, and they
in
saw
Googie's
you.
and Schwab's.
And
lo and behold, about a year later, Mr. Haas, I actually ran into him another time. After that, I was working as a waitress in the Vienna Hofbrau. Do you remember that?
Sure, of course.
It was on Sunset near Genesee, and a lot of the Eastern European film crowd used to go there.
That's why he was there?
He showed up one night, and I'm waiting on his table, and he going, "June, I didn't know you were a waitress." And I said, "Mr. Haas, I'm an actress. I'm playing the part of a waitress."
Did you?
So he called me up one night at the restaurant, told me that he had a part for me in his next film. I came over to his house to meet him. He handed me the script. He said, "You're Helen," with a little twinkle in his eye. And I'm praying. I'm saying, "Oh, please let him give me at least 10 lines. And I took the script home, and I counted all the lines, and I had the lead in it. And he took my line. He put my line in the film.
That I'm playing a...
Yeah, he said,
Did he?
because I played the part of a waitress wanting to be an actress who befriended this old man and his dog, played by Hugo Haas.
So he loved that.
He loved it. He loved my line. He stole it. You know?
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, we've got so much to cover. I'm gonna throw some names out to you.
Go ahead.
Rambling Jack Elliott.
Well, shortly after I made the film, a friend dragged me out to Topanga Canyon. You know the Will Geer's place out there. And Rambling Jack was, well, he wasn't known as Rambling Jack then, just Jack Elliott. He was a folk singer, guitar player, and I heard him sing, and a friend brought him to my house, and shortly after, Jack kind of moved into my house with his guitars.
But he knew you were an actress at the time.
Yeah, and he was a guitar player, and we went together for a while, and I was getting ready to go to Europe, and Jack decided we should get married, and he was knocked out by the thought that I lived on Woody Trail, because he had lived with Woody Guthrie, and he was a big disciple of Woody Guthrie. He loved Woody Guthrie. June lives on Woody Trail.
So it was meant to be.
It was destiny as far as Jack is concerned. So we got married and we went to Europe. And we started in London, and we sang on the streets and did clubs, and
they call that busker.
Busking.
Busker performers.
It comes from the Spanish word buscada, which is to search, but it's busking. And I got quite good at passing the hat. I'm not much of a singer, but I did do 1 or 2 songs with Jack. It kind of allowed me to sing harmony. And you know, some of the jobs got better. He cut some albums in Europe. He recorded with another friend of his. He played at the Royal Festival Hall with Pete Seeger, with the Weavers.
So he was in the right place.
He was in the right place at the right time. But I moved on.
You moved on.
I moved on. I decided that
you were going to your right place.
I was going to my right place,
which was
to see the rest of the world on my own, something I guess I had always wanted to do. So after working in Israel for a couple of months without a premiere on the film Exodus, not as an actress, I had the job of assistant props. And I saved all my money, and I bought the cheapest ticket I could to Japan.
Oh.
And I ended up living in Japan, but before I did, I spent 6 weeks in Hong Kong, and I ran into Steve Parker, Shirley MacLaine's husband, in a Kowloon bar, and he told me he was getting ready to do My Geisha, the film with Shirley MacLaine, Yves Montand, and Robert Cummings.
And you were still able to run into people.
I was lucky. And he said, you can be Shirley's stand-in on the movie. And that worked out. I got to be Shirley's stand-in on the movie. I got to act in a couple of other movies while I was in Japan. I joined a little dubbing company in Japan that was dubbing Japanese films into English.
And you were doing the English
Yeah, I was
voiceover?
doing the English voices, helping with the scripts, and helping with the casting. In other words, I became part of the company.
You were gone from America for 25 years.
25 years. I left at...
Were you coming and going and coming and going?
There was a period of about 5 years when I didn't come back, and that was when I was living in the Far East. But otherwise, I would try and come back once a year for at least a week to see my parents, who were still living in Brooklyn. Though a lot of my other friends had moved to California, and I surely intended to come back to California because I had moved briefly to California myself.
For your
after
Hollywood
the tour.
career.
For my brief Hollywood career.
For your Hollywood
Well, at least I starred in a film. You know,
Right.
That was kind of fun. By the way, Universal released that film, that Yuga film.
Oh, he did.
And eventually I left Japan and made my way back to live in France. And I continued to dub in France, and I acted in a couple of films in France. And one day I met my second husband, a writer, and we moved to the south of France. And then I got very, very bored, and I wanted to get out of there. And that's when the Rolling Stones entered my life.
And that's when this book, that is the fodder for this book.
That is the impetus, the father, and the reason that I actually started to write that book.
And the book is, even when it was bad, it was good.
Which is kind of a motto that I live by.
And what does that mean?
It means that even when it's horrible, it's fun and it's interesting, and so why worry about it?
And so you should always take advantage of what it is and not look at the... I love this because it's not bad. You can make something good out of anything.
It's all good.
And you did.
It's all good. You see that photo, that young, beautiful photo of me?
Is this you?
That's me,
Oh,
and I won't say how many years ago that was. That was the official photo that Universal sent me out to one of those Hollywood photographers. When they bought the Hugo Haas film, he had made it as an independent, they sent me out to take that picture, my Hollywood headshot.
That's great.
There I am with Shirley MacLaine, and there I am with Yves Montand. And there I am with an English movie director who I fell in love with.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so tell us some of the stories in here. The Rolling Stones were the reason that you wrote this book,
Absolutely,
basically.
Absolutely. Actually,
I'm sure you threw in some other things.
Well, I threw in the rest of my life. I didn't intend to. I didn't intend to. After you've worked for the Rolling Stones, people are they're very curious about it. And they always ask you questions. What was it like to work for Mick? How did you get hired for the Rolling Stones?
And what were they? What was it like to work for Mick?
Fabulous, but difficult. Difficult in the sense that Mick didn't know that the word no existed. What do you mean we can't get a piano tuner at 3 o'clock in the morning? So you find a way to get a piano tuner. I really loved working for the Rolling Stones. It was a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week job. I learned a lot. It was interesting to be with them. They're all very different. They all have different wives and kids and families and houses, and they all had come to the south of France, where I was living at the time, for a 2-year tax exile. And while they were there, they intended to do the new record called Exile on Main Street. And so my job was, it was everything. I wasn't a secretary, but I had to keep in touch with all of the 5 Stones every day by phone to see if they needed anything, any problems with their house, traveled. And in addition, I helped the Stones put together a studio, fixed up a room in Keith Richards' house. It's an interesting thing about my job. I was trying to find a way to describe what my job was. Now, you know what the word merde means, merde, means shit.
Right.
Démerder is the French verb to mean a troubleshooter or somebody who knows how to find things out and who can get things done.
Get it made? What's the word?
Démerder. Démerder is a very interesting French verb. E-U-S-E is the feminine ending in French. So Mick Jagger and my husband decided that I was the démerdeuse of the Rolling Stones, which means the female shit taker-awayer.
So you cleaned everything up.
I cleaned everything up.
You made sure everything was great.
Well, that's why I decided to write the book. So I started by just writing my experiences with the Rolling Stones. And I showed it to a professional writer friend who helped me organize the material. And he said, this is good, but what's missing from this book is you. I said, what do you mean? I'm in it. I'm in on every page. Well, I want to know who this person is before she got that Rolling Stone job. So I said, well, what do you want me to do? Write an autobiography? I'm not famous. He said, well, I think you ought to go back and write anything and everything that was important to you, that had an impact on your job and on your life. So have a think about it. So I thought about it, and I went back and I started the book in my father's projection room. Because that did have, and then I went on from there to being a child actress and going on the road.
So you told the whole story.
I told the whole story.
Well, our time is almost up. When you came back to the U.S., you worked at ABC.
For 13 years.
RKO.
I work for RKO now.
You work for RKO. But this book has stories about the Rolling Stones that no one knows about.
I would think so.
So I think this is a great read. This is a book that you can read, I think, on the airplane, boom,
absolutely,
like that.
Absolutely.
And it was so wonderful to have you here with us.
Well, Joan, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
And I know everyone will love this because it's such an insider's look. And I think the idea of your teaching us that everything is good, no matter how bad it looks, is terrific. Thank you, June.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you for watching. Keep watching the Joan Quinn Profiles and keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 917. See you next time. Bye.